Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. It's the 6th of December on 2022. Today's the day of that Atlanta runoff Senate election, just to put it into a little bit of historical perspective, so to speak, between Senator Warnock and Herschel Walker. We'll see how that turns out, but it gives you an idea when we're doing the show, because a lot of people listen on the archives. All right, we understand that. That's the nature of podcasting. It's for your convenience. All right, we archive every show over at ace-ed.org, ace-ed.org. That's our home website for American Consortium for Equity in Education, and we do a lot over there. So check it out. We have stuff on teacher retention, which we think is extremely important. SEL, seltoday.org, which is extremely important. All of the podcasts, plus, of course, our magazine, which is called Equity and Access Pre-K-12, and that is our online journal, which is all about equity and access Pre-K-12, and we hope you click through on the cover and read that, okay? Today, we got a terrific show set up for you. I hope both my guests are here. I'm going to bring my 407 number on. I hope both of them are there. I've got my friends from Texthelp. Okay. Louis, are you there?
I am. Hey, Larry, how are you?
I'm fine, my friend. Welcome back. That's Louis Shanafelt, okay, who is the Equatio, which I love this product, the Equatio product manager for Texthelp. Is Tina Shea with you?
She's not, because we, of course, work remote, so I'm not sure if she's joining, but I'm happy to join you, Larry, this morning, and hopefully she'll pop on here.
I hope she does, and I didn't know if you guys were sitting together or not. Okay, just to make that clear. Tina Shea Blanchette may join us. She's a former high school math teacher, a guy with a lot of experience in education, and she's the product specialist for Equatio. Okay, and she's a PhD student, so we can call her Dr. Blanchette. Okay, in math education, bless her heart, at Auburn. We won't mention how much that aggravates the people at Alabama. We'll just let that slide. Is that okay?
That's right.
Auburn's a great school. Please. Okay.
Yeah.
And one of four schools, Louis, named after a color. Auburn is a color.
Yeah.
Do you know the others?
Yeah.
Do you know the others?
I know Brown University, right?
Of course. There you go. One more. Got two more actually.
Oh boy.
One's tricky. One's a little tricky. I'll give you a hint. Maryland.
Oh man. You got me, Larry. I don't know.
Navy.
Oh, yeah, Navy. Yeah.
It's a trick one.
And I live down in Orlando, and UCF just lost the Navy, and I was at the game, Larry. I should have known that.
There you go. And there's one more small college in New York. Pretty good college too. Named after a color, or it is a color.
New York State. Huh. I don't know. You got me.
Tuffy. Siena.
Oh, wow. I would never have gotten that.
Good trivia question. Okay?
Yeah, good trivia.
Auburn, Siena, and Navy. Navy, I don't know, because it's actually the Naval Academy, but we'll let that go.
Sure.
Yeah, anyway, welcome back, my friend. It's great to have you here. And I have to talk about you labeled this show, quote, and I love this, but I'm not a math student. Building confidence for students in STEM. Okay. Now this is a text. I'm like, for instance, Texthelp. You got to put this together. Okay. Texthelp.com. Everybody want to go over there. They do great stuff to help people with, I'll say, special needs to a certain extent. Okay. Dyslexia, all that sort of stuff. So you have great products. Texthelp.com. Is that a good way to say that, Louis?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it really well. A lot of times in the education field, they'll say, hey, we help all students, but we specifically help and focus on students with accommodations that need those extra supports.
Thank you. Even better way to put it. Okay. But this product, I think Equatio, where you are the product manager, I love this product. Okay. I have to say this. If we're talking specifically on mathematics, I have to say this. I could qualify, I mean this, as a special education student, because my mind does not work mathematically. Okay, now it doesn't mean it can't, but it just didn't. Mm-hmm. Okay, and to this day, I still, I'm just not good at math, which is a horrible thing to say, because I could work at it all day long and be better. But you know what? I'm just saying that kind of everybody says. Okay. Texthelp is a company that helps kids, I'll say it again, to accommodate perhaps special needs. And I want to say this is exactly the product we need to make people understand, okay, that mathematics can be done and should be done and understood by everybody. And if you have a problem with it, there's a way out of it, and that's Equatio. Okay, and I hope I'm saying that right, because I just think this is really, really an important thing. Everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but a hell of a lot of people struggle in math. Okay, Lewis, I'm stealing your thunder here. Talk about just
you're fine, Larry. You're saying it perfect, and you're actually saying Equatio correctly, which can be challenging. But I always say, Larry, it's equation without the N, so Equatio.
Thank you.
And you hit it spot on, Larry, without me even interjecting. Is Texthelp is all about we help everyone to be understood and to understand. And I said that flip-flop, but we help everyone to understand and be understood. And Texthelp's always been known for being a literacy kind of company, but about 5 years ago, we got into the math and STEM, and we're trying to do what we've done for literacy in the math and STEM field, and Equatio helps us get there.
And just talk, I know this is the other side of the business, but you're involved. Talk about what you guys do for literacy. I want people to understand how important that statement is you just made. What we do, what we have done for kids with literacy, we're doing now for kids in mathematics. Just talk about what you guys do in literacy for a second. Just a quick overview.
Yeah, so basically what we do is we know a lot of students are working with technology and they're working with devices, and people like you and I, Larry, we all have devices right in our pockets. Yeah. And because students need those extra supports and extra help, if they happen to be dyslexic or they might need a word pronounced correctly, we provide the toolbar, just like we do with Equatio as a toolbar, except we provide those literacy supports to help those that are in ELA class, or it could be any class, really. I mean, you're reading in every subject area, right? So our Read and Write tool has been around for 25 years. Texthelp's been around for a long time, and we help provide those solutions for education. But we definitely recognize that there's a gap with math and STEM, and we want to be able to help and support in that area as well.
And you are doing that. I got to tell you. And I have to speak from my experience in math, and I've done this many times. But I had a math teacher in high school and probably junior high school too. That shows how old I am. Not middle school, junior high school.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What can I tell you? All right. There was no such thing as a middle school when I was there. All right. But it's a long time ago. But the math teachers had an expectation that everyone could do this, that everyone could understand math the way they were teaching it. They could understand math, okay, the way they understood math, okay?
That's right.
And not everybody thinks like that. Now, we've come a long way, maybe, as the old song goes, okay? Sure. And then things have changed, okay? And teachers have changed their expectations. But the kids, I don't want to say they're still the same, but they are still the same. And there's a fear of mathematics, and it's basically logic, okay, and how it works and all that. Unfortunately, out of context, if I may, but that's another whole show, okay. And there's tools, and math teachers have to understand this, okay. As do, if I may, elementary school teachers have to understand this as they start to teach math. And science teachers, because mathematics obviously is the basis of science, okay, because science, again, is based on logic. We can go right through the whole layers of the onion there. But my point is, when you guys market the product, where are you marketing it? Are you marketing it to math teachers? Are you marketing it to science teachers? Are you marketing it to elementary school teachers? I'm curious, now that I've said all that.
It's a great question, actually. So a lot of the background of our, let's say, our sales team, Larry, has had that avenue into school districts to really hit the avenue of the students that are using, digital tools from an accessibility standpoint. So literally, they're going into these departments where we provide these accommodations for students. But Equatio is a little bit different, I'd say, just because Equatio was founded on making math digital and then making it accessible. So to
and
go
actually, I'm
to
going
the
to stop you right there.
accessibility,
I got to say,
yeah,
wait a minute, Luther,
yeah,
I just got to say this at the very front page of just Google Equatio, like
yeah,
equation without the N. Okay, Google Equatio
right,
will pop right up, everybody. Okay, it's a Texthelp,
yeah,
whatever. Okay, but the first thing it says, okay, on your website is make math digital. Okay,
that's right.
that's the first thing. It's huge letters, and now I want you to get into that for a second. What is math digital? The digits, math. Talk to me. What are we talking?
Well,
why are you saying make math digital? That struck me.
yeah, well, you kind of hit on this in the previous question, Larry, which was we all learned math the same way. So when Larry and myself and your listeners, when we all went to school, the teacher would say, hey, everyone get out a sheet of paper and pencil, and we all learn math the same way. Because really, when you think about it, if you open an algebra textbook today, it's really not that much different than it was 20 years ago. We're learning the same content, but the means at which we can kind of digest this information has changed, and a lot of that's due to the technology that we all have. Equatio is going to provide kind of that avenue where we're going to be able to help kids to be able to make math in the manner in which they want to interpret the math. And we want to help them understand it because, like you said, Larry, everyone learns differently, right? So the research says that. So we can't all teach it the same way. Not every kid in the classroom is going to understand it if you just teach it kind of one way. So Equatio kind of helps in that regard.
Yeah, and by the way, I have to correct you for a second. I never learned math. You said I learned math. I never learned math. Okay. I want to correct that. Okay, and I always say this too. You know, the teacher called himself a teacher, but he was teaching. Nobody was learning, and I wasn't the only one. Okay.
Well,
you know this story. I'm going back a little bit, by the way. Okay.
Yeah.
But he was just blabbering on and on and on. Yeah. You know, thinking everybody should. Why can't you understand it like I do? Okay, and just move on to chapter 2 after nobody understood chapter 1. Okay, and it was just absolutely ridiculous. And you know, as you talk to teachers, but again, get back to I want to get back to this again. Though I lost track for a second. The Equatio make math digital. Okay, when you say that, okay.
Mm-hmm.
What does Equatio do? Maybe that's the way to ask the question. What does it do?
Yeah. So here's what it does. So everyone kind of is working in different places, Larry. They're either working in a Google Doc, or they're working in Office 365, or they're working in what's called a learning management system, such as Schoology or Canvas or D2L. And what Equatio does is it allows students to make the math digital. So basically, I like to say this, Larry. I like to say Equatio works where you work. So if your department or your school is working in this particular collaboration space, then we can help you make math digital in that space. And of course, you know this, Larry, but your listeners might not. But we're all about making it accessible too. So I just got back from 2 weeks in Colorado working with primarily individuals who have either low vision or blindness. So not only are we going to make it digital, but we make it accessible for those users who can't see the math, right? But they still want to participate. They still want to go to general ed classrooms. So we can help those individuals by making the math digital and accessible. So they're using what's called screen reading software, Larry. So imagine staring at your monitor and not being able to see it. Well, that's the kind of hurdle and challenges those folks are facing. So they don't look at it like that. They just need the math to be accessible. So their screen reading software made by Texthelp, when we make that math digital, their screen reading software can read that math out loud. So really, we're providing that equitable, facility, if you will, for making math. And then everyone gets to participate. So we try and make it available to all.
Wow.
Which is important, you know.
Important, to say the least. It's important. That what you just said strikes me as absolutely amazing. I mean, I have trouble with math, but to have low vision or blind or whatever, I mean, and be able to do and understand a math concept, okay, without seeing it.
Right.
You can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it. Okay.
It's hard, and you know why, Larry? Because we're sighted individuals. So we don't think about those types of things, but all you got to do, I mean, your listeners could try this. Imagine just turning off your monitor and having to do math, and math is on the monitor, but you can't see it. Equatio allows that to happen, which is just phenomenal.
And how about for just the normal average kid? Okay.
Yeah.
Me. Okay. I'm not that good in math. I'm sighted. I can hear fine, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
Okay. How does Equatio work for them?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So like we had talked about earlier, the accommodation piece, but I don't want people to come away thinking that this product only helps those that need, special assistance.
That's why I wanted to ask the question.
Yeah, it's for everybody, and I appreciate the question. So we can help users from kindergarten to 12th grade. What I think might be somewhat of a misconception too, Larry, is that Equatio, I think when it first launched, kind of got misconcepted as a secondary math tool, but really it is a math authoring tool. So think about that for a second. It's an authoring tool.
It's like a calculator, if I may. It's like it's that kind of a thing.
And Larry,
it's not a calculator, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
I know, but you're gonna probably make fun of yourself, Larry, and you don't have to. But you remember in math class when you had to show your work, right? You have to show your understanding. Equatio allows those students and those teachers to be able to write down and author. Or I say write down. I should say type down. Type down a problem. Students can then interact with that problem, show their work, show their understanding, and then submit that digital work back to the teacher. So when you say, what does it do? It works where you work, and it allows you to show your work and show your understanding of math content, which is critical in a digital environment.
That would have helped me quite a bit. Louis, how did teachers react to this? Math teachers. I should just say teachers. Let's go elementary through this specific math teacher in secondary.
Sure. This is so part of my background too, Larry, is I was a teacher. I taught for 20 years, and I worked at a really large school district down in Central Florida. And I would say that, if we're being honest, I think initially teachers can be very reluctant to this. But there are those folks who are just what I like to call, Larry, kind of your high flyers, your tech-savvy people that aren't afraid to try something new. And what we want to do is obviously to reach those teachers and say, hey, look what this product can do. Look how your students are enjoying coming to class. Because they're able to use, let's say, the digital manipulatives that Equatio can provide them. And it allows, really that collaboration piece, which is really important. You don't want to sit in a silo in your math class and say, I don't understand this. And then these students are going home. They're hitting up their parents after a long workday and saying, hey, do you remember how to show me how to solve a system of equations? Most parents are going to be lost, and they're not going to understand how to help their kids. And you know what? The research also says, even with this pandemic here, Larry, that we're all coming out of, it's like the most learning loss, and the research says this is in most newspapers today, most of the research is saying that almost all math and science scores have plummeted over the last few years. And why has that been so dramatic in math and science versus reading? Well, the answer is simple, Larry. You can go home and read on your own. Are you comprehending? Well, I don't know. There's a little bit of playroom in there where the students still have to comprehend what they're reading, right? But a lot of kids need help. They need that guidance. They need that step-by-step direction that's necessary in math class. And I think that's why those numbers are so low. They lost that individualized instruction, that group work during this struggle that we've all been through. And like you started your podcast out with like teacher shortages and things like that. That's been really challenging. And and we have a lot of work to do. And Texthelp wants to help.
You just made a great point. You just made a great point because it's always been hard to find math teachers. Okay, math teachers are not easy to find. Okay, because I have to say it, a lot of people who are that good in math go into professional sciences, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, it's hard to get people who are that good or become an accountant or CFO or whatever the case may be. Okay, they don't become teachers necessarily, but that's given. So it's hard to find math teachers. It's always been hard. Now it's even harder. Okay,
Sure,
and I will
sure.
say one thing very simply. Okay, that, considering teacher salaries, I read where Missouri is returning back to a $25,000 a year. I believe I read this correctly. If I'm wrong, Missouri, forgive me. Okay, a $25,000 or $30,000 a year starting salary. Well, if you're good in math, you can make $80,000 a year in the corporate world.
You're just going to go into another STEM occupation that will pay you a considerable amount of more money for probably less work than what a teacher is tasked with.
Thank you for saying that part too. I mean, it's true. So my point of all that is knowing the situation we have. There are still going to be warm bodies, quote, teaching in the schools, but they may not be as well trained as they always have been. Okay?
Sure.
And they need every tool they can get because we still have to get these kids engaged in the subjects. Okay? And we really when a tool like Equatio comes out, okay, we have to really be aware of that. And I wrote down this question, okay, as you were talking a few minutes ago on this same subject.
Yeah.
Why is a teacher or a department head or a school district, a curriculum director, so to speak, reluctant? What would they be reluctant about when they see a software product like Equatio come out? Okay, why are they reluctant?
Well, Larry, you're asking some really great questions this morning, and I got to say, it's difficult for me to sit back. It's not difficult for me to sit back, honestly, because I was a teacher, right? I worked for 20 years in public education. I think the reluctancy from teachers in terms of making digital math is you actually said this. I don't know whether you remember you saying this, but you're like, teachers teach primarily how they learned, right?
Oh,
so if a teacher was successful learning something a certain way, then do you think they're probably going to then return potentially into the teacher workforce and then say, well, this is how I learned it. This is how it worked for me. This is how my students are going to learn it. So I'm not sure that they really want to be told, hey, this is what you must use, right? So we have to be very careful. No one at Texthelp, and hopefully no one at your school district, is saying you have to use this tool.
Texthelp's like the kindest company in the world. They're not pushing anything down anybody's throat. Okay, this is like the nicest company in the world. Yeah.
Right, and we want to be a tool that's there if it's needed, but I don't think we don't ever advocate and say you must use this, because every single lesson, Larry, some lessons are going to require paper pencil. Some lessons are going to require show me your work, show me your understanding. Equatio would fit in that particular lesson, right? Equatio could fit too still in the paper pencil approach, because one of our things in Equatio is called Equatio Mobile, and you can scan your paper, and it'll take the handwritten math right off your paper and insert it into a digital document. So there's a lot of neat things that can even help with paper pencil math.
That's unbelievable. Wow, that's just wild. And I want to say this: there's another side to this that I think is very important. Kids get frustrated, okay, with mathematics. I think more so than any other subject. Maybe physics is next, okay? But every kid has to go through math, okay? And I don't know what the percentage is, but a lot of kids get frustrated with it, okay? And there's a lot of movement, this, Lewis, what I'm going to say next, about social emotional learning, all right, in schools. And one of the things that they always talk about are resiliency and confidence, okay, and engagement. All these things make school make. If you don't get that stuff down, the kids are not going to be able to learn. All right. So if you're dealing with a lot of people who are, and we have to understand this. A lot of people get frustrated with math, okay, and it's hard. All right, and if there's a tool that lowers, that makes it easier, okay, that builds resiliency, builds confidence, okay, builds success, I might add, okay, all these things are an SEL thing, okay, and really this is part and part. I'll let you go on that one, okay? Be my guest, please. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that goes back to like the whole equitable conversation in terms of like teachers should be building and should be providing lessons that act as a way for students to collaborate so they can build community in the classroom. You also want to provide like that engaging, like you said, lesson to where if something's engaging and you ask your child when they come home from school, like, what's the best part of your day at the dinner table? And they talk about a math lesson that they did because it was engaging, it was innovating, it was fun. We also know that helps students with retention, right? They're going to remember that lesson. They're going to remember that teacher and how that teacher made it fun. The hard part, Larry, is that you're going to math class, right? When a student's walking into math class, are they walking in with a positive mindset? Are they walking in with a teacher? Yeah, with a teacher with the right frame of mind to say, hey, I know that math may not be your best subject, but I'm going to do my best as your teacher to provide you with a meaningful lesson that's engaging, that's innovating, that's going to be something that you're going to talk about at that dining room table later that night. And I think that's important, right? I don't like, Larry, when I ask my 9-year-old when he comes home, what's the best part of your day? And he says recess and lunch. I'm like, well, what did you do in math class? Or what did you do in science? You know, kids are gonna remember that STEM activity or that lab lesson where they built a roller coaster, for example, and created it using math.
Right.
And they're not gonna even think, though, Larry, that they're doing math. They're just gonna remember the roller coaster piece, you know. But they're still learning. They're still, you know, they're really blossoming in that class because of the opportunity that teacher provided.
You know, and you know, I'm going to give you a little tagline here. Equatio builds success, okay? And if you're successful, you're going to learn, and you're going to be happier, okay? Nothing's better than feeling successful, okay? And nothing's worse than well, there are things worse, but nothing's really worse in this context than constantly being frustrated and constantly falling behind, all right? It's not fair. It's not right. Okay, and the point of all this is that there's a tool that can help these kids. Okay, every kid. I mean, it's just that simple. And I'm going to say something else. You know, we're talking about math, but math is the basis of STEM, and we're always talking about STEM. Okay, so why don't more kids get into STEM? Why don't more girls get into STEM? Why don't more African American kids get into STEM? Because they're frustrated. Right. If they're having a good time and they're successful, they're going to get into it. Right,
and they need to have that quote unquote that right teacher, right? So you know, it's and no pun intended, but they need that teacher that's going to basically say, hey, we're going to have fun in here, but we're going to learn. And like you said, I have a slide here that I use all the time, Larry, that just says it talks about building that STEM workforce. And one of the stats I have here that I'll share with you, it says here there's 26 million STEM jobs in the United States, and 20% of them are all U.S. jobs are STEM-based. So we really have an obligation to really build up a STEM workforce. And if you don't have the right mindset, and these mindsets can start as early as elementary school or middle school. I mean, ask elementary students, what's your favorite subject? You might not get a lot of kids that say back, I love math class, you know, but I think a lot of it depends on that teacher. And that's why it's critical to find those math teachers, pay them well, so they want to be there. You have to have teachers that want to be there, and you have to obviously pay them an adequate salary to, you know, to make sure that we have the right people in place to build the STEM workforce.
And present every teacher, if I may, with the right tools that builds confidence and engagement in kids. Okay, we have the tools are there. Equatio being this one. I mean, it's amazing. Lou, you do a good job on here. I love having you on the show. This was great. Thank you. Thank you for being here. This was great.
Yeah,
it's been a good time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And tell the future Dr. Blanchette she's always welcome here. Okay.
Will do. And I'll share that for sure.
Going
Thanks,
to Auburn. She's going to Auburn. Okay. So I want you to make. She can't get her PhD unless she can answer that color question.
That's right.
4
Yeah,
schools. And the funny one, the one she will miss, I guarantee you, is Auburn. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
That's the one she won't think of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
This is fun. Lou, thank you so much.
Yep.
And by the way, have a great holiday
You're
season.
welcome.
Okay,
anytime. Thanks, Larry.
Okay, inflation or not, go buy a lot of Christmas presents, okay?
That's right. Oh, I will. I'll take care of my kids for sure.
I know Santa will be good to them, and I hope he's good to you, too.
Yep.
Okay, Louis, thank you. Have a great, great day.
All right, you're welcome.
Thanks, pal. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You too.
I like having Louis on the show. It's Louis Shanafelt, who's the Equatio product manager, and this is a hell of a tool. Okay, from Texthelp, texthelp.com, but all you got to do is Google Equatio, the word equation without the end at the end. And it really is something for kids like me, if I may, when I was a kid, which was a long time ago. Okay, we're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org. I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. Hey, thanks for listening.